All right, in this video, we are going to narrow down our AOI and we're going to build our contours. Now, if you're working in with OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive, make sure you navigate to your project, okay? Open it up and make sure that you've given your computer time, especially if you're on a new computer and you just logged in a school computer. Make sure you've given it time to sync all of your files down to the hard drive on the computer you're working on, okay? So if these icons aren't green like this, especially if they're like little clouds or something, your project is not going to be able to access your data, okay? The data is safe in the cloud, but it needs to be downloaded to your computer for the software to work with it. Okay, so just make sure you have green lights and then you can double click on this. Okay, so here is the entire country of Panama. Okay, and I have my projection set correctly. All my DEMs have been mosaic together. All right, and I can clip this out to the shape of the country of Panama, and we'll do that in another video. But what I want to do today is focus in on your area of interest, okay? Because we can't build a model of this entire country, all right? So I wanted to do the Panama Canal, okay, and that's going to be right in here. And it really went through this whole area, okay? So all of this is really the canal area. And I want to see if I can make that work. It might be too big, but I'd like to give it a shot. So the way we're going to do this is we're actually going to imagine the basswood base that we are going to build our model on top of. And we need to keep that base no bigger than 20 inches in any direction, so width or height. So come to insert, and we're going to insert a new layout. Now remember, think of this as your base, okay? And I'll go with this 12 by 18. Okay, so this is just like in CAD. Okay, this is like paper space. This is one of your layout tabs. Okay, and now we need to draw a viewport. Okay, and the way we do that is go to insert. All right, and they call it a map frame. All right, and we're just going to click on that, and then just use your smart guides. I don't know if you can see those tiny rectangle, and I'm off, and I'm going to make it off on purpose to show you it's not hard to fix at all. Okay, now this paper size doesn't quite fit what I'm trying to get across here, so I want to make it a little fatter. But before I do that, once again, we want to get rid of these pesky service layer credits, and let's just take care of that now by going to insert, go all the way down your ribbon to dynamic text, scroll down to service layer credits, and then you get this little crosshairs, and that's just asking you where do you want to insert such and such, and in this case it's service layer credits. So we just want to put them out there, and then we're gonna do the right thing and label it, and then we're gonna lock it up and turn it off. Okay, so now to change the size of my basswood base, I am going to click on the actual layout itself. Okay, and it's a 12 by 18, and the 18 seems okay, but let me see what a 16, I think actually the width should be 18 and the height should be maybe 16. Okay, and then we'll just put that in landscape. Oh, jeez. Okay, so that's landscape, I guess, the width. All right, so let's click OK. All right, now that looks better. I can have writing in here. I'm also going to want to zoom in a bit, and I may actually rotate this. Okay, so let's play with that a bit. First, let's get our frame, map frame, situated perfectly on the paper. So click on map frame. All right, double click on it. And you get this element tab, and this time the element is our map frame. So let's come all the way over to placement. And this is just a great way to work in general with software. You can just tab and it'll take you down. Okay, and then 0, 0, because this 0, 0 indicates that that's the position of the X and Y for you. So now it's perfectly locked in place. Okay, now let's come over here. It's giving it a stroke that might get in the way. Let's take that off. Okay, now here's the biggie. This is the display options. Okay, and currently my scale is at about 500,000. And I can really zoom in on that. So let me, and this dang thing, I don't know why it's in portrait. I'm going to come back up here, double click. I told it to be landscape. All right, and just have this resize elements, and the map frame should follow. There we go. Good. Okay, that's the way I want it. All right, now let's double click on the map frame. Okay, just check that placement solid, and then we come over here. Okay, now there's a couple things we can do. We're going to want to zoom in. Okay, so let's do that first, and I'm going to take it, let's just type in 250. You don't need to put the 1 in the colon. Wow, that really works well, because it gives me some space here for just some breathing room, and maybe some text, and the north arrow will be perfectly straight. I was thinking maybe to rotate it, but honestly, these kind of compositions are a lot more interesting. Okay, and don't worry, like this, we might be even able to etch it in rather than, stack up contours. So I'm really, boom, I'm happy with what I have here. I'm just gonna try this one for now. Okay, so I'm gonna lock this in place, fix center and scale. I'm gonna do a Control S. Okay, now I'm gonna turn on my Panama DEM. Okay, and now what's cool is we can clip this DEM to this very shape. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is to go up to Analysis, Tools. Okay, and you want Clip Raster. Okay, so I have a lot of favorites. You can just type in Clip Raster. Okay, and then just click on the bolded name, and it'll take you right to the tool. Okay, and put in your input raster. Now the output extent, this is if you have like a file, like say you had the country boundaries or something. We don't have that, but what we have is we have the current display extent. And see, when I clicked on that, boom, all of these coordinate numbers changed. Okay, and those are the geo coordinates for each corner of the map. All right, and we're just gonna let it just do its thing, but I want the output raster data set to go in our elevation folder. Okay, so you can come up to project and double click on your folders. Okay, and under elevation, watch what happens down here. Okay, nothing. So what you're gonna have to what we're gonna have to do here is name the raster, and at the same time we're gonna tell it where it's going. Okay, so we're gonna call it Panama. Let's just call it clip, and then it's gonna be a .tif. Okay, so click save. All right. And then we want to maintain the clipping extent because sometimes you'll get some wonky borders based on cell size and everything like that. Okay, now come over to environments. We want to choose the current map. Remember, everybody set up their projection. Okay. And then I'm using my own computer, so I'm just going to put in 100% for the processing power. Okay. And then you can just hit run. Okay, boom. So immediately, now you can see this when you come over to your map, you actually have another DEM on top, or, cut out of that area. Okay. And it's really, if we run, let's click on this. It gives us the new elevation high and low, which is great. But if we click on that and go to raster layer and run our dynamic range, see now it's pulling the light, the whitest white and the darkest black only into this region. Okay, so it's just a lot more dramatic. All right, and the stretch type up here, we want the minimum and the maximum. Okay, all right, now let's turn off our big guy. Okay, let's do a Control S. Okay, now here's where we're going to make our contours, and we have a lot of detail. Even though it's a 30 meter per pixel DEM, it's still a lot of detail. So we're going to want to softly blur out some of that hard detail. And where else would you find a blur tool in GIS except go to analysis, the end of the ribbon, go to raster functions, and then go down to statistical. I mean, I don't know how people, it's not intuitive at all. Okay. So come to statistics. All right. And choose this Panama, well, your clipped DEM, leave that at mean, and make this a 9 and then tab to 9. Okay. And then just create a new layer. And what's nice here is you're not making a new file. Okay. You're just, it's almost like you're adding like a Gaussian blur in Photoshop to an existing layer. Okay. Now, a recent trick I just found out, because a lot of times if you run the contours with just this, you're going to have these jagged kind of squared off edges. So what I learned was click on statistics again and blur the blur. Okay, don't ask me how that works, but it does the trick. Okay, leave these at 3 and create your new layer. Okay, so far so good. Now let's turn off these fellas. Okay, so we're doing good. Little Control S. Now let's build our contours. So we're going to go up to analysis, tools, and we're going to type in contour. Okay, and this spatial analyst is fine. Just click on the bold type. Now for the input raster, make sure you choose the double S. Okay, because that's obviously why we did it. Now for your output feature class, just leave this alone because we're going to do one more operation. Now the contour interval, this is where we need to think a bit. Okay, so I have 1,010 meters of elevation change. okay? Obviously, I don't want 1 meter contours because that would mean I would have over 1,000 pieces of wood that I would have to glue together. And I'm thinking we probably want no more than like 40 or so at most. And that depends on how smooth they're going to be. And so I'm going to just take 10, 10, and let me divide that first. Let me do 40 meters each. Okay, or divide it by 40. So that would be 25-foot contours. And I'm gonna try that. Okay, I don't really like using odd numbers like 25. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna do 20 meters. Okay, now all of this needs to stay the same. Okay, if in the future you want to make meters into contours, here's a quick way to do that. I always just click on this, and 1 meter equals 3.2808 feet. So you would just copy that, and your Z factor would be that, and then all of your new contours would be in feet. But that is not what we're going to do. Okay, so let's do for contour type, we want the shell up. Okay, and this is important because if you let this fly, sometimes you're going to get over 1 million vertices per contour, and we just don't need that. Okay, so I'm going to type in 100, 1, 2, 3, 100,000. That's even more than enough, but I've gone lower than that, and then it says can't do it. So that's just the way she rolls. Okay, output coordinate system, current map. Everything is good. Let's hit run. Okay, that did not take me long at all. Now I have a lot of contours. Okay, so let me. Okay, so I'm afraid I might have too many, but maybe not. I need to take a look at these, and if I zoom in, I'm seeing some really nice curvy contours, and I'm liking that. I don't want to have too few, but let's come up here, scroll up to the top of your contour layer. Let's close it up, and right click on it and go to symbology. Okay, now remember in GIS there's a lot of different ways you can symbolize your data. Okay, and this is doing unique values. These little icons are super helpful. So every feature, like you see down here, gets a value from this gradient, and that's why I had you do the gradient with the Google Arts project, which I know a lot of you may have been scratching your head about that, but there's a method to it, and this is part of where that will come into play. Okay, but right now we want to review our data in a very simple way, so we're going to choose single symbol. Okay, we're going to click on that symbol, come up to properties, and we are going to choose no color for the fill. Okay, and then for the outline width, let's just do a 0.35. All right, and I must have, yeah, I got this on. That actually looks kind of cool. Let me turn all my layers off, and now I got to bump this gray. Let's make that a bit darker. Okay, so the curviness, all of this looks good. Okay, however, I just plain have to, well, I say that, and see, here's the thing. You know, there's the Panama Canal, and that's all water. Okay, so I think there's different ways we're going to do this, and everybody's going to have to judge for themselves what's going to work best for them. But let me finish off this process with you, and then I may go back and change my 20 meter to 30 meter, which in fact, I'm going to do that now, but I'm going to hit pause. Okay. Actually, let me show you how you do that in case, I mean, it's the same process. I just want to go over it in case I really want you to tweak this part so that you get the contours the way you want. Okay. So you have your clipped DEM, statistics. You go to analysis. And remember, guys, you're going to be doing large projects when you get out of school. Okay. You're not going to be, well, that's the beauty of landscape architecture. There's so many different ways to practice. But the point of this is that if you practice on a large scale, you will need to extrapolate contour lines to do an effective site analysis. And this is really a great way to do it. Okay. So again, we go to our contour in the toolbox. Okay. And just click on this guy, input feature, stat. Now it's stat 2. And now for the contour interval, I'm going to choose 30. Contour shell up, 100 down. Okay, come over to environments, current map, run that. Okay, so it's just as simple as that when you want to make closed contours. All right. Okay, so now again, I'm going to right click on this fella. Let me turn this off. Okay, got rid of the other guy. Come over here and go to symbology after I right click. All right. From unique to single, click on my symbol. No color for the fill. We got to make this a little darker. Okay, and we got to slim that girl down. Okay. Now, this is looking a little better. Okay. And, okay, now here's the part that's important. We've got a lot of, I guess what I call jibber jab in here. So we need to find a piece, an isolated piece that we say, okay, everything that's your size and below needs to get deleted because it's just too much. And I believe I found that right here. Okay. So I got this fella. Come up to map and choose measure area. And now this doesn't have to be precise. Just start clicking on here and get a rectangle around that amoeba. Okay. And then whatever this is, let's do, that can't be. So, hold on. Sorry about that. Okay. So let me come up here to square miles. Okay. And what I have here is 0.17. All right. So everything, I'm just going to say 0.25. Every shape that's a quarter of a square mile and smaller in area will be deleted. Okay. So we can close out of here, come up to analysis, go to tools. Okay. And now you're going to type in eliminate. And there it is right away. Eliminate polygon part. Okay. And if you're working on your own machine or something you use all the time, just add to project favorites or my favorites. Okay. It's helpful because I don't always remember the names of some of these tools. Okay. So for the input feature, your contours, okay, just let it do that. And area is what they're going to measure. And I said a 0.25. And instead of square meters, we're going to just choose square US survey miles. Okay, and then uncheck this. This is important. And once again, in environments, let's just nail down our coordinate system and hit run. All right, then boom. Now, uncheck the bottom contour and you see a lot of that jib has been taken out of the jab. Okay, see how much? That's nice. Okay, so, and I think what I may have to do is bump it up to 40. But what I want you to do for this class that you'll turn in to Blackboard is head over to Layout, okay? And this is actually really cool looking as it is. And then let's do a Control S, okay? And let's get rid of this stuff. We really don't need any of this right now. So right click, remove, okay? And right click on this. Well, before we do that, let's go to Catalog, okay? And we're gonna go to the portal and we're gonna click on Living Atlas, okay? And choose Paper Cut. And then right click on this guy and choose Add Style. And if it says, do you want to overwrite existing style, choose yes. And then what's weird is you need to right click if it says that and add style. That's what you want to see. You want to see the downloading and then this upgrade style, okay? And just hit yes. Most of you will get that on the first go round. All right, now right click on your layer, symbology. Okay, now we can't do paper cut as a single symbol. We need to do it as graduated colors. Okay, all of this is fine. Leave it at natural breaks. George Jenks was a mathematician. I'm not going to get into that now. This video is going long. But choose the maximum number of the breaks. Okay, so now click on More, all right, and go to Format All Symbols, okay, and come up here to Gallery, and you should have your paper cut symbol in there, okay? And then just depending upon your computer, this probably takes a pretty good graphics card, but it should start coming in for you, all right? And then you can come back over here, return to primary symbology page, and you can choose, let's show names. I made some of my own, but you can choose a color scheme that would accentuate the elevation. And there should be some here, but I don't see any. Texas Hydro. Let me try this one. But what you can do is just play around, see that, and if it's getting darker on the way, it should get lighter on the way up. Okay. And this is also where you can create your color gradient and everything. But what I want you to do is just pick one. You can mess around with it by format color scheme. You could even create your color scheme now based on your hex values, okay? But what you want, here, that's what I needed, was show all. And their presets aren't the best, okay? But let me, where was that? Okay, I know you guys need to get out of here. Okay, so sometimes you need to, like this one's getting darker blue. So you want to go to Format Color Scheme and flip it. Okay, Reverse Color Scheme. And then just click OK, because I actually kind of like this one. Then when it's done drawing, okay, and that'll be when these circular arrows are done. For now, all I want you to do in order to upload this to Blackboard is click share, okay, and capture. Okay, mine is done. You can capture this to the clipboard, and then you can really come into any program. If you're on a school computer, it may not save automatically to your clipboard, so you can just come to something like PowerPoint, put in a blank slide, and just do a Control V. And when I said it might not save automatically to your clipboard, it does save to your clipboard. It might not save to your clipboard folder, okay, in your pictures folder, okay. And then please put your name, okay, and the date, and then just export this, and then you can upload that to Blackboard, and that'll be it for this part of the assignment.